Well, now that it is almost mid-October and I can finally drive around at night with my windows open, enjoy some of that nice cool air, I thought it might be time to turn to some more cigars that I have not actually tried yet. As far as like different wrappers and different blends. I've been smoking a whole lot of darker wrapped things as of late. Today I have something that I just kind of stumbled upon. I was recently traveling through all the states between Maine and Maryland, and I was in Seabrook, New Hampshire, and we had stopped for a break at I believe it was O'Brien's General Store, and of course they had a humidor cabinet there. And me always, looking around, seeing what's interesting. I found this. This is a Te Amo. This is a 60 by 6. They label this their Gordo Toro. And I purposely have not researched this at all to do a sort of a blind tasting on it. It says Te Amo on it. It's got a picture of a guy fighting that bull right there. It also says, if you can see right here, it says Cuba Blend. They had, I believe it was a Dominican blend there in the cabinet as well. I opted for the Cuba blend because it looked the most interesting of the bunch. It says Hecho Amano, handmade, of course, San Andreas, Mexico. So it says it's made by the Turrent family. It says imported, handmade, Taste of the World, or Taste the World on the band is what all it says there. This is the Te Amo World Selection Series. That might mean that this is the top, or that might mean that they're just a bunch of fancy names, and this is really just their bottom cigar that they name fancy. The world of cigars, when it says reserve or selection or any type of wording like that, I mean, it's always kind of a toss up. I mean, there's no real regulation to say, okay, if you're going to label this a reserve, this is the standard it has to meet, et cetera, et cetera. So, like I said, doing more of a blind tasting on this, I'm assuming that since it says handmade San Andreas, Mexico, that the company is actually based out of San Andreas, Mexico, or maybe that's just where they roll up all their cigars. Um, as I get into the last third, I'll do some research and I give you some information about it towards the end. But for now, I've already got a hole there in the top, and I'm just gonna give this a puff. Um, the construction is pretty brash. There's definitely some pretty big veins going in it right here. Um, the leaf is very distinguishable. You can see that main vein curve right here with the smaller veins going off of it. So I'd say a very vein prominent cigar. As a side note, this cigar only cost me $4.50 for a 60 by 6. So not really sure how this is going to go. I sell some fantastic 60 by 6 cigars for $4.50 as well here in the shop. So this could go either way. It could be great, and it could be not so great. By the roll, just looking at the roll of the cigar, it's kind of got that leaf stretch right here. I'm not sure what you can see that, but it kind of got that almost like stretch marks. These leaf stretch marks. So it's definitely not nearly as smooth as some of the other cigars that I've smoked in the past. But because of the price and because of the size and because of where it was at the time, definitely something that I thought was interesting enough to warrant $4.50. So the draw is excellent. There's some woodiness in there, maybe hay. Nothing that jumps out right away. That's for sure. Maybe maybe it's a bit more green. Maybe like fresh cut hay, not like a dried out kind of hay. That's all I get. I don't really want to reach any more into that because I feel like I'd just be providing falsities. So the wrapper has a real nice earthy earthy smell to it. Some earthiness, some leatheriness. So the actual smell in the wrapper is better than the cold draw is, but I'm gonna light this up. Well, I got a pretty good light on this. The flavor that jumps out at me is very hard to describe. It's definitely being attributed to that San Andreas Mexican wrapper that I'm assuming at this point, since it said it was made in San Andreas, Mexico. Very tannic, very bold. Man, it's hard to put my tongue on. It's definitely bold. It definitely jumps out at you. I almost say it's more of a kind of a real raw leather taste to it. Um, it's gosh, it's not necessarily a bad taste. It's just a very strong kind of tannic leather taste to it. Interesting, very very interesting so far. Um, all of a sudden, I've got high hopes for this one. So I'm gonna puff on this for a little bit and be right back after this first third. So I'm through the first third of this Te Amo Cuba blend. All through this first third, where that real strong kind of leathery taste was coming through, it's definitely softened up a whole lot. It's given way to a lot of wood, and a lot of yeah, a lot of wood, and just that leather backbone is still really heavy right there. Again, like I said, it's like a real just. It's almost hard to describe. I got a few notes of like creaminess along the way of this, and that really surprised me. It's very good. Some nice little subtle changes in there. As far as the burn goes, though, this burn has been vastly less than impressive. I've actually had to touch this up twice now. You can see how bad that burn is. It's right now. It's just kind of refusing to burn straight. I'm hoping it'll clean up, but don't really have any high hopes for that. I am enjoying the flavors. Like I said, the draw has been just excellent as well. So a few positives and only one negative, if you will, for now. So I'm excited to see where this one's going to go in the second third, and I'll be right back. So I am through the second third of this here cigar. All through this second third, the flavors have gotten more intense, but in a negative way. There's a lot more tartness. There's a lot more bitterness happening. When I do get some good flavors there, there is a lot of that leather still, and there's a lot of real subtle spice coming through, like a real soft cinnamon is definitely coming through right now. So there are enjoyable flavors there. I feel like it's being overshadowed a whole lot, just by this real strong kind of bitterness that's developed. I think part of the problem is that I've had to touch up and relight the cigar twice already, and I've been puffing pretty regularly. So I'm not sure if it's a matter of construction or what. The ash does seem to be hanging on pretty well, but you can see this burn line even after touching it up is still definitely not straight. The draw is probably the best thing on this cigar right now. It's real light. And for the cost of $4.50, I'm not even sure if I would buy this one again, even at that low cost. But we've still got a last third to go, so hopefully we'll get something that's gonna redeem itself, as it were. Like I said, that draw is very good, so that's one thing it does have going for it. So you know the routine. I will be right back in 1 second. So I am just about finished with this Te Amo. As I had said earlier, I went ahead and did some research on this cigar. It is a Mexican Pura, one of the few that I've run into personally. It is, like I said, all Mexican. All their tobacco is grown in the San Andreas Valley. They're actually a very old producer. They've been around, I believe, since the 1960s. I found in my research. So they're actually a well-established brand. This is the first time that I actually ran into them. As far as the wrapper goes and the filler, they're both a Criollo leaf, and like I expected, like it'd been tasting, it's just lots of leather, lots of woodiness, and lots of spice. So it's definitely true to its Mexican style. Um, Unfortunately, with the cigar here close to where I was, I got a whole lot more of that bitterness. It was real hot. I kind of had to try to keep puffing on it just to keep it going. So I eventually just let it go out completely, let it cool down, cleaned off all the ash, and did a whole nother light on it just so I could try to get some more of those flavors to it. Um, and in doing that, the burn has actually started to burn straight. So here in the last third, after finally letting it cool down and relighting it, I am getting some very good flavors of that leather and wood. Those real kind of soft cinnamony spices. Are all in the nose, and it's putting off some good flavors now. Unfortunately, just for myself personally, this is not one that I would smoke again. I just feel like what limited flavors it really had were just overshadowed by the bad burn and the heat, which is unfortunate with a cigar that's or a cigar company that's been around for a long time. If I'd just been smoking this as a gift that somebody gave to me and I wasn't doing a cigar review, maybe it wouldn't have been so impacting. But of course, the whole point of this is to one, give you my opinion, but two, tell you all about the cigar and how good it really is. I definitely appreciate the draw is very good, but this isn't one that I will be smoking again. So if you're not there already, brothersfinetobacco.com. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook. We got another cigar tasting coming up here October 30th. I hope to see you here in the shop, and as always, thank you for watching.